Greetings, daddy-os, daddyettes. I am Donnie Deviant of Dickie Devil, and the Deviants here this summer to teach you a new song of ours. Heather is a Hex Girl. This is all brought to you thanks to HPUSA, those masterminds there, whoever they may be. But hey, life's a beach, so let's dig it, Deviates. Let's get right to it. Got my cameraman, roadie, handyman, Brandon Bailey here helping me out. Yeah, like cameraman and roadie is all I do for you. He says that like it's the best gig I could get. Of course, he forgets the possession spell I put over him about a year ago when we met at the first Dickie Devil gig that I attended, where Darby was on guitar still. Yeah, it's been a wild ride since then, but you know, he's been a pretty good handyman, not gonna lie. We kinda had this deal worked out where if he helped me out, I'd give him his soul back, and then, you know, he'd be all famous for helping me out. So, let's give Brandon a round of applause. Yeah, we did have that deal worked out and everything. I'd better still be getting something out of that. Yeah, you'll be getting something alright. That's for sure. But hey, let's stop wasting time here. We're wasting people's time. They're trying to learn a song here. Let's get right to it. So basically the song was originated by Dickie Devil, you know, boss man over there. But kind of came to me with like the hook and everything, as we've been doing lately. Kind of have a hook and he'll come to me with and pitch me like the melody and stuff, and we kind of dissected the chords out of what he was doing and built it upon there. We all kind of added our little embellishments during the first few practices, rehearsals of the song, and it became what it is. I mean, just like all of our other songs over time as we play them, just kind of get the ball rolling and the structure kind of develops itself, and we add things that really make it into a good song to throw into the set. So, story of the song, very brief, pretty simple stuff. We're a horror punk band. We like goth girls. Hex Girls, pretty big influence on any genre that horror influences. You know, any virtual band out there. Hex Girls, pretty notable, pretty awesome. We're all huge Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo fans too. You know what I mean? They made their first appearance back when I was a kid in the Witch's Ghost movie. And then you got Legend of the Vampire after that. Apparently they're in 3 newer episodes I haven't really seen because I'm an old school fan. But they were in What's New Scooby-Doo and Team Up. They're in Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. They have their own dedicated episodes in them. So, yeah, definitely check out the Hex Girls if you've never seen any of them in Scooby-Doo. It's pretty sick. We're going to get this song going in just a moment. So in this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you the ins and outs of how to play this song on guitar. And that will consist of the basic chord structure of the song, how to understand those chords and the melody and all that sort of thing, how the rhythm and the lead guitar that Dickie and I do together kind of complement each other throughout this track. It's one of my favorite songs that we do that with, and you're going to learn the leads, the whole guitar solo, everything. We're going to break it down, give you the song structure. Kind of has a weird flow to it that most songs usually don't, but hey, that's what we're here to learn about. Cut right to it. We're going to start out here by explaining the beginning of the song. Starts out with the chorus. Kind of just comes right into it. Dicey counts right in, and we get going. And I do backing vocals in this song, so when I start, I have to think about singing and playing the guitar riff all at the same time. But anyway, the song is in C Mixolydian, and we play in drop D. Reasoning for that, some of our songs are in D,
a lot of them actually, and kind of just makes it easier to, you know, transition for some of the riffs for Dickie, you know, when he's singing and stuff. So kind of makes sense. Makes everything a little heavier. Guess we'll go over how to form these chords, you know, for all the newbies out there. I don't want to make everybody sound too dumb on their instrument, but, you know, I try to make this for, you know, if you're a beginner, you know, if this is your first time picking up a guitar, you can kind of just play along with this song and learn some of the basics of playing. So, we use a lot of power chords here and there, bar chords, power chords. First chord of the song, it's a C. Me and Dickie play different parts, so the rhythms are going to vary, but I'm going to go into that in a second. So basically how you form a power chord, you could do it many different ways, but you're using the root of the chord, which is C on the 3rd fret here, and then I like to use my pinky a lot. It depends. If I'm doing like a full bar chord and I have to change positions, I'll use my pinky. Sometimes I'll use my ring finger. It just kind of holds down the major bar chords a little better. But the main thing is about getting the root and the 5th together. And you can do that with your pinky or with your ring finger. If you're absolutely insane doing it with your middle finger, I don't understand why you would want to do that, but hey, I try to keep at least one finger per fret here, and that's how I do my C chord in this position. So basically, 3rd fret on the A string is a C, 5th fret on the D string is a G, and then from that point on, we're finding the octave in C on the 5th fret of the G string, and then E on the 5th fret of the B string. So then you're gonna use the meat of either your ring finger, your pinky, or a little combination of both, whatever helps for the feeling. Make sure you get a good tight grip on your neck like that. So that's our C chord. Moving on, we're going to do some drop D power chords. So it goes from C to F. So all F is, and I don't really play the full F in this one. I play hit that full C bar chord there, but then the F is just the power chord, and we're just doing 3rd fret across the top, bottom, however you say it. You got the drop D string, A string, and then D, and it's all on the 3rd fret there. You got F, C, and F. Then we'd be moving to G, which is the same thing. Same position, but we're moving it to the 5th fret. Alright, so that's essentially all of the chords. If you listen to Dickie's part, you'll notice that he's basically just going, you know, etc. And then I add some little things here and there to kind of give it a little more punch. We kind of worked all that out when we were first writing it. So let me go over the basic technique of how we riff our songs and basically just keep it pretty Ramonesy for the most part. Downstroking gives you the best punch on some of these riffs and keeps you locked in with the tempo. But there's a little bit of alternate picking going on with some of the little like embellishments, the fills that I'm adding in the riff here. So I'll show you Dickie's part real quick. So, pretty much it. You're basically just driving straight forward on the chords there. So now we're going to go over all my little embellishments, fills that are going on top of Dickie's guitar riff there. They really kind of just bring in the Mixolydian flat 6 feel of the song. Makes it so it's not just focusing on the tonic and, you know, basic major and minor progressions there. Kind of spice it up for our Hex Girls on this one. And basically what I'm doing, almost the same thing as Dickie's part. You know, we got the... I complement every single chord change in there, so it'll be like a quarter note and then eighth notes afterwards, so and then so that's a whole. And now here's where things get different. Dickie holds out the F or the G as just, and I do a little bit of alternate picking. You can down pick it too if you want. When I'm singing, it's kind of a little easier to alternate pick this. So I'm using the third of a G minor, even though we're using a G major here, and giving it that Mixolydian feel, tying it back into C with a B flat. And the way I play this B flat is not by using the power chord. I'm using like a dissected part of the power chord, just two strings on the D and G string, the third fret, which is an F of the D, and then the third fret of the G, which is a B flat, which makes it a B flat chord. So basically what's going on there for that whole first part of the riff is alright, so it does that 3 times around there. Going with the chorus, I sing along throughout the whole thing, and then we get to the turnaround, which goes into the interlude. And this is where the flat Mixolydian comes in. The Mixolydian flat 6 comes in here. And what that means, if you don't know your music theory or guitar scales in general, basically what modes are, the Mixolydian being one of them, is just taking the major or the minor scale. You know, start with the major usually because it just makes sense starting with that. And we're in C on this one, which is a key that has no sharps or flats in it on the staff. But when you use Mixolydian, you're putting it in the C in the degree of another scale. So, that being said, the G to B flat step in the chorus already emphasizes on the Mixolydian feel of the song, but at the end of it, I kind of do a slide up with the flat 6 chords with the vocal harmony that I'm doing on top of it. So when we get to that G the 4th time around in the chorus, we're going to hold it out, kind of like Dickie does. And then instead of doing the like that, those little like triplet things, we're going to be going to an A flat, then a B flat, and then a C. So that whole 4th part of the riff will go like this, very similar to the last one. So yes, a little bit of a technique on that. You're going to be hammer-oning from the G. So what we're using is the D and G strings here. Just those two, just like that B flat that I showed you a second ago. And we're going to be hammer-oning to that A flat, which is the 1st fret of the D and G strings. You got E flat and then A flat. And then we got that B flat again on the 3rd fret here. So that whole part, when we get to the G, just show you the rhythm technique of the whole riff real quick. Alright, so that's like whole chorus right there. Alrighty, so immediately after that chorus, we got the first little lead interlude thing that kind of brings the melody of the song to life and adds a segue between the sections of the song. The rhythm for it, same thing as the chorus, just C, F, G, C, F, right? And we're only going to be doing that twice throughout this, and basically to explain how quite a bit of our songs are formed with the leads and stuff, kind of just using the chord shapes, playing around with inversions, and bouncing around the melody, you know, as such with those. So I'm going to be starting with C. If you don't know your chord inversions, we're still in that bar position here. Only difference is I'm only going to be playing 2 notes of that C chord, and we're down here on the E of the B string, which is the 5th fret, and then the G of the high E, which is the 3rd fret. I'm going to be using a hammer-on technique. So start off on the 3rd fret and the 3rd fret of B and E, and then you're going to hammer onto that E of the B string, like I was saying, on the 5th fret. So like that. You want to get both of them all together in one little downstroke. Alright, and now we're going to be moving to 2 F inversions. So we got the F up here, which is kind of using that classic D chord shape, which is 5th fret of the G string, C, 6th fret of the B string, F, and then 5th fret of the high E string, A. And now you're going to be taking that C that we started on, sliding up to the F here, and then we're going to be sliding down to the normal F bar position here, which is 1st fret of the high E, F, 1st fret of the B string, C, and then 2nd fret of the G string, A. Now, that whole part together, play it slow, is... Now it kind of just straight strums like that. Alrighty, so that's the first part of this lick. Now the next part, very similar to what I'm doing in the chorus. Same notes, just different position. Doing a G to B flat, giving it that Mixolydian feel. So at the end of the... we're going... the same way we were in the chorus with the... Now, the only difference is you're tying that together with that first lick, and you're kind of letting those stops really be pertinent in there. So you want to really accent that. And now moving on to the next section of the little lick here, doing the same thing. That same part there, except for we're not going into the chorus again afterwards. We're going into the flat Mixolydian. So we're going into the next section of the solo here, little lead, and it's going to lead us into that Mixolydian flat 6 chord progression that we did at the end of the chorus riff, except for we're going to be using some slides. So you're starting off with that same thing again, like I said. Except for now, we're moving up to the G barred chord position, and that's going to be 4th fret of the G string, a B, 3rd fret of the B string, a D, 3rd fret of the high E, which is G. And that leaves us with that. So you're just going to be straight strumming on that, and then we got a couple slides coming in on the A flat, and then the B flat, and then we're back to C again. So kind of similar in terms of rhythm to the chorus riff, but I'll show you the technique here. Play it slow real quick. And then this is where we do the slide. After you do those, we're going to be sliding to the C, which is the 5th fret of the G string, and then the A flat, which is the 4th fret of the high E string. So you're going to slide all the way to that C there, and then you're going to hit the A flat, like a kind of an alternate picking slide thing. So slide to the C, hit the A flat, back to the C. And now you're going to be doing the same like technique, except for you're sliding from that A flat chord to the B flat, and you're going to be using the same notes. Essentially, you know, you're using the D, 7th fret of the G string, and then the B flat, the 6th fret of the high E, and that whole little part there is like that, because then it goes right into the C of the verse riff. So that whole solo played a little slower. Playing a little faster now. So yes, the verse riff comes in right after the interlude lead that is played over the chorus riff. Each riff kind of has the same motif that builds up to it, that Mixolydian flat 6 progression that adds on the end, the tail end of every section of the song. So, show you the riff now. Coming out of that Mixolydian flat 6 progression leading into the verse here. The verse, even simpler than the chorus as far as chords. We're literally just going from C to G, and I add a B flat embellishment between the C and the G the first times. And then the last one, we're doing that same Mixolydian flat 6 climb up that we did on the end of those last two parts. So rhythm-wise, we got that same C chord. And I add the accents in between every chord change once again. So at the end of that C, you got... So it goes right to the G like that. And then we're holding on to the G. And after you do the G, the same way we did that, we're going to be doing B flat to C, using that same 2-string B flat chord that I had. Here's the 4th time around. We're going to be using those same 2-string D and G string chords, the A flat, B flat to C. So doing that same. So let's play the last 2 times of that verse riff. Play the last 2 times of that verse riff. And that's basically the whole verse riff. Dickie kind of just keeps the chugging rhythm along again. I'll show you that. It's just basically... into the chorus. Okay, now we're going to go over some of the techniques that I use for this solo in particular. Nothing too fancy here, you know what I mean? Try to really focus on the melody and, you know, the motif of the song to try and really complement it. But there is some techniques to, you know, if you're a noob, as I've said in the video already, to pick up on to try and get it down right. So, I mean, I have a couple hammer-on, pull-off kind of things going on in there with chord inversions. Like the first note is, I mean, it's pretty similar to the Interlude, you know. Got one of those hammer-ons in there. Do a bunch of slides. It pretty much plays the Interlude, but in the second part of it, it slides all the way up to the octave here. So you definitely want to get good at hitting those pretty precise. And yeah, I do some string skipping, like kind of slide things there, like some country bends. And then we got some full like harmonic bends there. Just yeah, different bending techniques, chord inversions, slides, hammer-ons. Nothing too fancy. Now we're going to be getting into the guitar solo here. So the rhythm behind that, same as the Interlude, it's just the chorus riff, you know. You got the same thing going on, except for you're playing the chorus riff in full 4 times, not just 2 like the Interlude. So yeah, we're going to get right into it. So like I said, some of those techniques are going to be involved here. The solo basically starts the same way as the Interlude. Has that same little slide there on those inversions. C, F, like that, C to F. And now we're doing the same thing again, that G and B flat lick there, and it's going to start. Now here's where things get a little tricky and your memory comes into play in your sliding technique. So we're going to be doing that same start but at the octave up here. So the same C, F again, but we're going to be doing it here on the octave up past the 12th fret. If you didn't know that, everything repeats at the 12th fret and you got all your chromatic notes once again here. So you got the C chord here using, well, you're going to be hammer-oning from the 15th fret, the D of the B string, and then the 17th fret of the B string, which is an E. So, but you're using that same C chord again, so you want to make sure you get your ring finger on that, the G of the 15th fret of the high E right there. So, like that. Hammer on them with just the B string together. So basically same thing again. Going to be moving to the C, 17th fret of the G string, the F, the 18th fret of the B string, then the A, the 17th fret of the high E. So with that same shape. And then you're going to be moving back to that bar F position, which is like the octave up here. 13th fret, the F of the high E, 13th fret, the C of the B, and then the 14th fret, the A of the G. So that whole part right there. Just like that. All right? So now, once again, just like the Interlude, we more or less have the same lick going on here to tie into the next part of the solo like the Interlude does. But we're going to be all the way up here and using some little like country bend techniques, like kind of string skipping bends. So starting off, we're going to be doing that lick there. Now ending back up at the G in the octave here, and you're going to be on the 16th fret, the B of the G string, 15th fret, the D of the B string, and then the 15th fret, the G of the high E. So make your G chord there, and you're basically strumming that same thing. And then you're going to be going into those same things, like how we got the A flat and the B flat with the that Mixolydian flat 6 again. But we're going to be bending up to a full bend on these. So you basically, what a full bend is you're bending up to the next note. So you want to make sure you get that that C from the B flat. You know, make sure you got your pitch reference on point here. But the technique with pulling this off is, you know, using whatever finger works. Sometimes the pinky works for me, sometimes I end up on the ring, sometimes middle finger, whatever. You're just going to need 2 fingers apart right there, depending on how you're coming off of that last lick. So using my middle and ring finger, bending up to that from the B flat up to the A flat of the high E string. So same kind of rhythm as that, except for you're going to be also bending up to the, doing that same kind of technique up to that B flat chord. So bending from the C up to the D there. So that whole last lick of this first part of the solo is. Now this is my favorite part of the song right here. The solo, obviously, it helps keeping the melody together and building it back up. But this next part of the solo has a lot to do with the end of the song. More or less, the melody that I'm playing is the melody of all the background vocals during this coda chorus of the song, and basically just following that. So they're just chord inversions once again, starting with C. And now the only difference is we're moving up a couple intervals here. So going from this position on the C with the 17th fret of the B string and the 15th fret of the high E, like we did on the earlier licks. But then you're going to be moving back to C here on the 17th fret of the G and the 17th of the B, and then sliding up to F. So it'd be like that. And you can use a full F, you can use half of the chord like I'm doing here, which is just those 2 notes right there. Got your A on the 14th of the G, and then your B on the 13th of the B string. So, and then the next part of that lick is you're going back to that interval here on the 17th of the G and B, and then we're going to a G chord like we just showed you in that previous lick. So that whole part will be. So using that same thing. From there, C, F, C, G. Got it? All right. So now we're going to use our first little harmonic bend, full bend here, but you're using 2 strings. And we're first going to be moving up to the D of the G chord with a full pitch bend there. And what you want to do for those, if you don't know the technique, is hold down the note that you're bending up to, and then on the string lower than it, you're going to do a full bend like I was just showing you. You want to get from C to D. So. Alright, so as long as you're hitting that exact note, you got it. And then we're going to be moving from D to G. And on this one, you're going to be 3 frets apart here instead of 2. And you're going to be doing the same thing. Hold on to the D, the G, the 15th fret of the high E, and then on the 18th fret of the B, the F, you're going to be doing a full bend up to it. D, and then the G. So then that whole first part of the second part of the solo goes. So it just has a little bit of a rhythm. Dun 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 dun. Just play it a little faster. Do it one more time. All right. So now the last lick of the solo. We're gonna be starting with the same first part. So that C, F, C, G thing, same thing. Just like that, except for the bends at the end are gonna be a little different. We're gonna be bending up to G or to D, all on the G chord still. So bending up to D, bending up to G. Same thing as we did last time. The rhythm will be a little different. Now this one, making a little bit of a blues bend, using some accidentals here, using that B flat and going up to B, which kind of gives it more of that Mixolydian feel. You know, we're adding in the B flat and giving it a bluesy touch, moving it up to the major third of the G chord. So that's a half bend, and with those you just, like, same thing, you just want to reach that note, you just bend it with slightly less power. So that whole last lick of the solo. Now the whole solo. That's it. Okay, so now that we have the whole song and its parts down, I'm going to explain the structure of the song a little bit before we go into it, so no one gets confused. Alright, so the song opens up with the chorus. That's the reason I started showing you that first. Goes into that lead interlude, back into the verse, and that's pretty much the loop of the song right there. Chorus, lead interlude, verse, chorus, lead interlude, verse. This chorus at the end, this whole build up at the end here is pretty much like a giant outro. So you can think of like that third chorus that comes around as tying into a bridge in a sense, because when you watch me play it, you're going to notice that I don't play guitar during the clapping part. That's because we all drop out, and I do backing vocals in the song with the rest of the Deviants, and we all just kind of clap along and build it back up into my guitar solo, which leads into a sort of coda chorus. Like it's not necessarily the chorus still because the words change, but we're essentially playing the same stuff. And then the song ends. So the chorus doubles up for a sort of bridge there that leads into the solo. And then it ends with another chorus. So now we're going to do the full playthrough of the song. And yeah, you can just play along with me if you want. Take everything that we just learned, pop us up on Bandcamp, Spotify, you know, play along to the track. I'd love to see any bands attempt at covering one of our songs. That would be pretty cool. So yeah, Heather is a Hex Girl. Here we go.
Heather is a Hex Girl. Wow. She was rock and roll. Heather is a Hex Girl. Wow. She souls in her soul. Heather is a Hex Girl. Wow. Her songs got me under her spell. Heather is a Hex Girl. Wow. Now we're going straight to hell. 'Cause Heather is a Hex Girl. She was born in San
for watching, Scream Hearts. Can't wait to see you guys at the next Dickie Devil show. Come out to any HPUSA events. If you're a fan of horror music, fan of punk, fan of rock and roll in general, and just, you know, the dark side of life, just come check us out. We got great tunes, got great babes, got great merch, great events. What's not to love? Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you guys again sometime. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover. Go over any more lessons, like a vocal breakdown maybe, some techniques. We'll see what's going on. Either way, catch you on the flip side, guys.